Hello everybody, this is Tekka. In this video, what we are going to be doing is checking out the latest version of Deepin Linux. This is 20.2.4 and there has been a lot of changes. Last time we looked at it, there was all kinds of little bugs, translation issues, things like that. I tried to actually run it as my primary distribution and I lasted maybe a day or two, and then I ended up switching to Ubuntu DDE. And that was a little bit better, but I still had a lot of the same bugs and stuff. So I did end up abandoning the project where I used Deepin for like a long-term review thing. But we're going to take a look at it again and see if some of the problems I had previously were fixed. Taking a look at the changelog here, you can see the primary new features. We have a global search, which will give us an icon on our dock and allow us to use keywords to find various files, applications, and more. And of course, they have upgraded to a better kernel from the 5.10 LTS to the 5.13 stable. And then they have an absolutely huge changelog of all the different things that they have fixed from the previous versions. So I'm looking forward to testing this out. So we're going to be doing a full deep dive into this operating system. You can see here I have the installation up and this is running on hardware, so it's not virtualized or anything like that, so hopefully that should kind of cut out some of those issues. Mandarin is the default language. This is a Chinese Linux distribution. I know some of you guys are not a fan of that, so just getting that out of the way in the beginning. I'm going to agree to the terms of service. Here we have the create partitions. I'm just going to go with this full disk here. It's a 238 gig NVMe. Let's go ahead and go next. And here it's giving us a rundown ready to install. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. All right, so our installation was successful. Let's go ahead and reboot our system. And now let's make sure that it's not going to boot into our USB, and it is not. We are looking good. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Boom, boom. All right, so here is the boot screen. So let's go ahead and boot into Deepin. I wonder what font they use for their logo. Oh, we have the just the basic setup now. So let's go English, next, and select my time zone. So let's see, Los Angeles. Like I always say, I'm thankfully not actually in Los Angeles, just how time zones work. All right, let's see if it lets me put my computer name as Deepin, which I think it did. So let's go next. So now it is tuning our system, so we will patiently wait and then boot into our fresh install of Deepin Linux. All right, so here we are. This is our login screen. Let's go ahead and type in our password and check out this version of Linux. And here we are. We are now on the Deepin desktop. When you first boot in, luckily we get a little welcome screen. So if I play this video real quick, it's going to run through a little animation. Revolutionary design. And like I said, this is obviously a Chinese distro. We're going to skip this video. If you want to check that out, you could log in and check it out. We have fashion mode and efficient mode. You can see if I switch between the two, it goes from a floating dock with those centered icons to more of a classic Windows-esque look. If I go ahead and hit this, it brings up the menu. If I go over to fashion mode and hit this, it's still the menu. I know there's a way to switch that. So let's keep it on fashion mode for now since it's the default. And now we have our running mode. So we have effect mode and normal mode, and that just looks like it takes out some of the transparency and some of the rounded effect. So you could switch that if you'd like to. We could go next. Here we have an option to change the icon theme. So we have Bloom, Bloom Classic Dark, and Bloom Dark. So we're just going to go ahead and stick with the default. Done. And now our system is set up. It's cool they give you some of those configuration options from the start, but it didn't really get into anything other than some of that basic configuration stuff. So before anything, let's go ahead and check out some of this UI. So if we open up this, you can see our menu with all of our different applications here. We're going to run through all the applications in more detail in just a little bit. But here you have shortcuts to get to your computer, documents, pictures, music, movies, and downloads. Then we have our power and settings. Let's go ahead and open up settings real quick. Kind of put that off to the side while I run down through some of these other things. We have our applications in the middle here. And then down here, this is kind of all of our system tray toggles. So we have input, we have our USBs. Right here we have volume control, so I could manipulate that if I want to. Here we have our network adapter and our wireless, so I could connect to Wi-Fi through here if I would like to. We're on a LAN, so I'm not going to worry about that. We have our Bluetooth options. If I hit this, it's going to collapse everything that was within that system tray. And right here we have the global search. Now this is one of the new features. I don't really have any files to search for, but I could just search for like files, for example, and it's going to do the file manager. Let's say we wanted to open up the downloads folder specifically, so it's going to allow us to do that. So overall, that global search seems to be working okay. I don't really have any files on my system. Let's see if it's going to open up a directory. So let's say we want to go into the var. Is it going to let us? No. Maybe just the user directory. So it doesn't look like we can use this to navigate to specific root directories, but we can open up other applications with it, such as the App Store. We're going to jump into that after settings, because in the App Store, the translations were all screwed up, basically. But here are our settings. It's a very clean format. It looks like it's a very, let's say, touch-friendly type of user environment. If we go under Accounts, we can add auto login, login without password, and it put all these big category things off to the side, which I'd kind of prefer this as the default, but this is still pretty cool. You have Deepin ID, which is a cloud syncing service, which is only supported in mainland China at the moment. Even if there was support here, I probably wouldn't use it. But it is cool that they're adding that. We have our display, so we can change our brightness. We have color temperature shifting, such as night shift, and you could change your color temperature here. You have your scaling. Then we have our refresh rates, our display, our rotation, all that jazz. We have our default applications here, so it looks like it's pretty easy to go ahead and select what the defaults are for some of these. And as you can see, they don't ship with Firefox or anything like that. They have their very own web browser. Under personalization, this is some of the options that we changed during that initial startup. But here we have the option to go into a dark mode, for example. And then we have auto, which I'm pretty sure is like a time of day thing. But I'm not seeing any settings in relationship to the auto, so I can't say for certain. For the rest of this video, let's stick out in dark mode. I like how this looks a lot better. And then we have our accent color changing, so you can see all the buttons, sliders, and all that are changing as I go ahead and manipulate this accent color. I like that. Let's go ahead and stick with that. You actually have a transparency option here, so you can change how transparent that bottom dock is, whether if you want absolutely no bar or no transparency at all. You can change your effects here. And it looks like here we have our option to change how rounded the corners are. It's not a very exact slider, but it's going to allow us to go in between large, medium, and small, which that is a nice option to have. And then we have our icon theme, our cursor theme, our fonts, just some basic stuff that you'd want to be able to go ahead and change. And then under network, we have our network settings. You can see I'm connected to a wired network, but additionally you have DSL, some VPN settings here if you'd like to. We have notification controls, so you could set it to do not disturb. And it looks like down here, if I click on this is going to open up our notification center. And here you could go ahead and clean all the notifications. And I'm not seeing an option for do not disturb in here, unless if this is it, which I don't think it is. So it looks like you might have to go into settings to get that. So it'd be cool if they added a little toggle somewhere within this to go ahead and enable do not disturb within here. But you have file manager, so you can enable or disable very specific notifications per application. So that's nice. Here we have some basic sound settings. So we have our inputs or sound effects, our devices. So you can actually completely disable specific devices I believe you don't want to show up at all. We have Bluetooth, time and date. This is actually a very clean time and date. Well, the whole thing is pretty clean, but I do like the time and date thing here, and we could go ahead and add other times. So if I wanted to get times from London, I could go ahead and add that in there. And then you have some setting and format options. Here under power, I'm plugged in, so I'm not exactly sure what it would look like on a laptop, but we do have some power setting or power saving options and some wake up settings. You could go between balanced and power saver. And even doing this, you guys can't, actually, yeah, you can see it. It's dimming my screen a little bit. And then if we go to plugged in, you can set this monitor suspend and some other settings. And then down here, we have mouse. So here we can change the scrolling speed, left hand, we could go to mouse over here, do a double click test. So that's pretty cute. Keyboard, general keyboard settings. And compared to last time I looked at this, there's definitely a lot more things going on here, and just the UI overall seems a little bit cleaner. If I go over to updates, it says our system's currently up to date, but we have a little red thing right here, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. We're going to look more into that in our actual software center. And here we have our system information. So this is Deepin version 20.2.4 specifically, and it looks like this is on the 5.10 kernel. Isn't this supposed to be something else? Yeah, this is supposed to be the 5.13 kernel. So I don't know why it shipped with the older kernel, but oh well. Here we have our boot menu, so you can actually manipulate some of the boot menu stuff within here, including the startup delay and the theme. So I set it to disable the theme to probably default grub, so I'm actually just going to cancel that and get out of there. So now the thing I'm looking most forward to trying out is the software store, because last time there was a couple things that were translated. Auto translating sucked, so let's see what this looks like here. And I'm not seeing any Mandarin as of yet, so I think they might have fixed that, which is very nice. Over here on the side we have essential apps, all updates and manage. If I go to essential apps, for example, it's going to bring up things like Telegram, GIMP, Inkscape. Let's go ahead and install GIMP, because I remember last time a lot of the buttons and stuff didn't look good with the Deepin desktop environment. So let's just go ahead and install this. You can see all the category, all the version numbers. We have 100K downloads through this. Here are some apps that are in Mandarin, but this is way better than it was last time. And even the comments. There's some English comments. I don't know if there's auto translating going on or what, but it definitely looks better than last time. So let's go ahead and grab GIMP. Doesn't look like it's asking for a password. Let's go back under Hot Apps. You can see we're installing GIMP there. If I go back to it, it has the installation progress there. If I click on this, you can pause and stop your installations or downloads through here. And if I go back to Hot Apps, for example, we have Chrome, Firefox, QTorrent Etcher. It looks like GIMP successfully installed, so we're jumping to that in a little bit. And here under Updates, let's see if there is anything going on. It doesn't look like it. You can see GIMP has installed, and if I go over to my notifications, the App Store, GIMP successfully installed, so that's looking good. And we could go down here to Manage. It says I have 2 installed apps. Did this already include GIMP and I just downloaded a second copy of it? Here, let's see. Oh, GIMP isn't even coming up in those search results. Oh, but there it is right there, so that's good. Let's try searching for it one more time. Nope, maybe if I just search GNU. Yeah, so it's not really pulling the other terminology that you would normally be able to search for GIMP. It's only pulling what's in the title. So that's one thing to keep note of. One thing, you can see we have our normal menu here. If I go ahead and right click on this, I could go to mode. And here's where you can change it to efficient mode, so you have quick options to these various settings. Right-clicking, you can also enable and disable various plugins, various statuses, and actually change the location of this taskbar here on the bottom. There it is. Okay, what I was just trying to do, I knew that this was here, but I kind of forgot how to access it. You can see I have the web browser open here. This is Deepin's web browser. One thing, it's good, it looks good. It's really super thick title bars and all that, so I'm not too sure how I feel about that. But I mean, the dark mode and everything works good like they said. You can see it's all just Chinese, and if I Google something, it's going to pull it up on the Chinese search engine. So you'll get results from like Bilibili and things like that. So let's go ahead and close out of here for now. One thing, what I was just saying, is if you go over here and you actually click on this right here, it changes the little start menu to a full screen start menu if this is something you're more interested in. The animation isn't too smooth, but it looks pretty good. And then you go ahead and open up whatever you would like through this application. You could draw using this, close that out. And now if I go ahead and hit that start menu, it's going to default to that full screen. And if I actually go up here and click on this, it's going to categorize all my applications by the internet, music, video, graphics, office, system, and then other over here. So you have user feedback. But this is really nice if you prefer this kind of categorized look. I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it looks really good. Additionally, down here you have show desktop, so let's open up a couple different things. Let's open up this, let's open up a web browser, let's open up the store. Let's say you got a couple different things going on. You could quickly show the desktop. If you click it again, it brings everything back up. Or we have our multitasking view. It's supposed to look like this. I think these are supposed to be window previews, but they're just coming through as icons. And this is another thing that looks a lot better than last time. It looks like we have the live previews. All the icons are rendering properly. And from here, I could go ahead and get rid of things. I can pin things if I'd like to. And then I could go ahead and navigate to different workspaces through here. So if I click that again, go back to this workspace, open up our file system, and you can see what that looks like. Now their actual file system application looks really nice. Again, it's kind of following that touch-friendly UI element throughout the system that they're going for here. We have our desktop, all of our main applications. We have our disks, and this looks really nice with the little bars telling us how much room we have in our various disks. Then over here, you have quick links to everything in your system. If we go up here, you could do new window, connect to a server, settings, theme. So you can change individual themes. Like I have the system dark theme selected, so you can see that. But if I wanted this application to be light theme only, I could go ahead and change that. And then of course right here we have search. Let's see if this lets us go into var, which it is. So that is nice. So it'd be cool if they would implement that in the global search to go ahead and travel to those root directories, but with time, things will change. So now, last up, we're just going to quickly skim through the applications. We're not going to open all of them up, but we're going to see what they have. I did mention the screen capture application is by far one of my favorites. If I go ahead and I grab an area here, after I select it, I can manipulate it a little bit just in case if I made an error. And here you have the option to record just this square. Take a screenshot. We have all these different text and picture options. Actually, under options, you can change it between a JPEG, PNG, BMP, and you can save it to various locations here. So this is a wonderful screenshot utility. And if I just take it, you can see screenshot finished. But going back to our applications here, we have our music app store, the browser we kind of dipped into a bit. We have our terminal. So if we open that up, the Deepin terminal is actually pretty nice. Let's see if NeoFetch is installed. It is not. NeoFetch is by far one of the most important utilities that you can have on your Linux system. NeoFetch, and here we are. So we're still running that 5.10 kernel. It says there's no update, so I'm not exactly sure why that's the case. But you can see I've been up for about 22 minutes. The package count currently is 1700. I installed the GIMP, so it's going to be a little bit less than that. We're running bash Deepin. The window manager is kwin. And then you can see all the theming in my specific specifications here. That's our current RAM usage. Let's go ahead and jump into htop. Let's see if they have that installed. They do not. Maybe they have a better system monitor we could go ahead and jump into. So, yep, we have system monitor here. And this is their system monitor. Again, the thing with Deepin is all their applications are very well designed. So we can see our CPU utilization. It's jumping back and forth between 0 and like 10% it seems like. But after initially opening up this application, it's staying more on the lower end of that. We're using 1.6 gigabytes of RAM, so it is kind of RAM intensive. This isn't the RAM utilization on boot. I've done a couple things, but this is more accurate because we've opened the store, we opened and closed web browsers. So this seems to be about the RAM usage with doing that and having nothing else really running in the background. Here we can see our current internet, our disk writes, all the applications that are open. If I go over to services, we get that much more detailed and specific list. So that is nice. If we go over here, we have movie, image viewer. We have a text editor. Their text editor is just really pretty. Close that out. Go over here. We have device manager, boot manager, control center, a lot of different things to actually manage your Linux system. If we go over to disk utility, type in our password, let's see what this guy looks like. Nice. So again, just another beautiful application. And if we go over to, I think this is our boot drive. So if we click on this, it's not really opening up on the side here. So let's go disk info. Maybe that will do it. So here, the options available to us are format to and mount. So if I did format to, we could change the formatting and everything. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. They ship with the LibreOffice suite. And there are a lot more applications that we do not have time to dive into. So if you're interested in diving into some of these applications, I'll leave a link down below. You can play with this in VirtualBox or install it on your hardware if that is your preference. Compared to last time I checked this out, it is looking pretty good. Now, one thing I almost forgot to do, and one of the issues I had last time, both on GIMP and Kdenlive, is the buttons did not look good. So let's see if that was fixed. It's a little bit better. You can see what I was talking about with like some of these up toggles and all that. It makes everything a lot bigger than it needs to be, but if I go ahead and zoom out, it's okay. So they fixed it, but it's still a little wonky looking compared to most other desktop environments. So let's close that out. Like I was saying, this is definitely an improvement compared to last time we checked this out. The applications are beautiful. Ignoring the fact it's from it's a Chinese Linux distribution, it's beautiful. And I know a lot of people are going to leave comments down below going, ooh, China, when you need to remember, things like this are completely free and open source, so you can go ahead and audit the code. If there is any bad code in it, somebody's going to say something. So that's not really something I'm too worried about. Maybe I should have read the little terms of service that I agreed to in the beginning, but I'm running this on just a little isolated test bench. I'm not going to install this as my main computer. Again, download links in the description. With all that said, I'd like to thank our YouTube members and Patreon supporters. We have Mitchell Valentino, Phil, Matt, Kyle, and Timo Anthony. Thank you guys, and thank you to all the other Techie and Techie Plus members for supporting the channel, either here on YouTube or over on Patreon. Links in the description if you're interested in supporting the channel, and links in the description to the release notes for this so you can see all the things that they fixed as well as links to the download. With all that said, make sure you click that eye to check out some other videos that I've uploaded recently. There have been some good ones. Have a beautiful day, and goodbye.